With the 35th pick, the Cleveland Browns select Nick Chubb, running back.
Good Friday evening to you all out there, and I hope you're having a fantastic start to your weekend. Welcome to another draft edition of the Park and Brown Show on day 2 of the NFL Scouting Combine. That's Bill. I'm Jacob. We are so happy that you chose to join us, whether you're here live or after the fact. Thank you for tuning in. Hit us subscribe on that YouTube. Give us a little thumbs up over there. We'd greatly appreciate that. Bill, how are we doing?
We are doing good, Jacob. Like you said, day 2 in the books of the NFL Scouting Combine. We had some very interesting interviews, I guess, is what you could kind of say. We talked about them before we went on the air. And then, we had DBs and tight ends show up and show out. And we're just going to kick it off. And I got to drop this number. So far, for the first 2 days of the NFL Scouting Combine, defensive linemen, linebackers, defensive backs, and tight ends have all posted the best average 40-yard dash for each of their position groups ever since 2003, since they started tracking that. So if you don't think this class is full of dudes who are athletes, Exhibit A was last night, Exhibit B is today, Exhibit C is going to be tomorrow with the wide receivers, and Exhibit D is going to be with the offensive linemen on Sunday.
Yeah, it might have some late round guys that have traits much more than we thought. Maybe there's a few more athlete, guys that have some potentially untapped potential out there, which is always fun to go try to see if you can find those guys. And Jeff's adding to the Blue Chew fun here. So thank you so very, very much, brother. We appreciate you. You don't have to do that, but we really love you guys for hanging out with us here on a Friday night. Boy, it put a lot of pressure on the wide receivers tomorrow, right? Because the defensive backs, man. I saw that the defensive backs are looking at when they had a 4.44 was the average 40 time for the entire defensive back group, counting safeties and everything. And the second styles to test running a 4.28?
4.28.
And I just love that they found her mom in the crowd and they're like, yo, what you feeding them?
I said the same thing as soon as because he's 6 foot, 194 pounds, and then ran a 4.2, officially 4.27. And the first question I asked, I said, what are they feeding these boys? But I loved it on the broadcast. They interviewed her and Rich Eisen. He's like, hey, are there any more Styles children coming through the pipeline?
Do we have to be ready for that? Especially because he was, speaking as a Michigan man, he's worried about seeing more of those guys play for Ohio State. She's like, someday I'll have grandchildren, but dude, I like Sunny Style, or not Sunny Style. Well, I do like Sunny Styles, But I like Lorenzo Styles as well as like a day 3 flyer guy because I think he's got some things that some traits, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, that was disrespectful. Like, you definitely have some traits. Like,
Right.
it's not just like, oh, you're like the athleticism and that top speed and that range back there at safety is there's something there. Like, it was, for Caleb Downs not participating, and you're like, man, maybe we're not going to see anything special from these safeties. The other Ohio State safety was like, don't worry, brother, I got you. And I just like, hats off to Lorenzo Styles. Just absolutely awesome day for him.
Oh yeah, and absolutely, and obviously the other guy we got to talk about Dalen Everett down in Georgia. I thought Dalen Everett coming in was a really good run defense corner, but I was concerned about his ability in coverage. It just felt like everything's a step slow for him. And then, he just shows up and says, well, okay, I'll turn in a 4.38 40-yard dash and a 1.54 10-yard split. And now you might be a little okay if his eyes are a little slow because his feet are moving as fast as they can get. And if you can get those eyes to catch up in zone coverage, ooh, buddy, that's a day 3 corner that maybe you just try to put on special teams and say, hey, field some punts and use that 4.38 and fly.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you can find a way to coach him up and work on some of that play recognition and his eyes, like you said, being a little bit step late, if he can get those eyes to mirror that athletic ability, you're like, okay, this is a starter. Like, he could be a starting level corner because he's got the physical attributes there. And what you said about the special teams, that's kind of what I was thinking too, watching Lorenzo Styles. I'm like, at minimum 4.27 speed is like, hey, that's a gunner. like even if you're like, I still don't love him overall as a safety, it's like, yeah, but maybe he's a gunner, maybe he's a returner, like, maybe he finds a role like that. And that's what I think is so cool about the combine like this is players that aren't necessarily, the tape doesn't necessarily show you like, oh my gosh, I gotta have him, but it shows you like, hey, I can find this guy has something to work with. So if it's the 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, that's like, don't get me wrong, the stars showed up today too. We're getting there. But like, Dalen Everett's a good example. Like, wasn't he the first one to run too? Like, it was like,
he was one of the first. I think Charles Demings and then like a few like Marcus Allen, Bud Clark. It felt like it was a 4-4 kind of day because there was 3 or 4 dudes back to back 4-4, 4-4, 4-4, and we're all just sitting there like, okay, we see what kind of day it's going to be. And then Dalen Everett shows up with a 4.3, and we're like, oh,
I'm sorry. And I tell you what, when Lorenzo Styles ran his first one, I was taking the dog out, and my phone my watch starts going off like from the Discord and stuff. And if you want to join the Parkland Browns Discord, the link is in the description on YouTube right now.
Shameless plugs. We love it on a Friday night,
brother. We you're in there throwing out information all week long, so it's well worth being in there. Next year it'll be both of us being obnoxious because I will be there with you. But
yes,
we'll see what happens next year.
We may even do a live show from there.
Oh, we have to, right?
Absolutely.
We have to. Like, I feel like it's the law. Yeah. The next guy I kind of wanted to talk about, a guy I love. Jalen Kilgore, the corner safety slot guy from South Carolina. I love this dude in the slot specifically, and long, physical, good athlete. Then he's like, I'm going to put a 4.4 out there, and you're like, sorry. Do you have his measurables? I don't have his measurables up.
I do. So he was 6'1", 210, 32 and 7/8 inch arms, with a 4.4 flat and a 1.56 10-yard split.
And I'm like, and people like, maybe he's a box safety. I like him as a box safety, maybe in the slot. He's real physical too. And then I just didn't think the top gear was quite that. And I'm like, hey, this is a guy I like on day 3 that maybe he pushes for the top 100. Like, I don't know if this guy's probably in the top 100. Because he was somewhere around there, and he just showed that maybe that ceiling's a little bit higher than I thought, and I thought I was pretty high on Jalen Kilgore. But like, if you're in the third round, start of day 3, and you're like, man, I need somebody in the slot. Like, I would absolutely entertain Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina.
Oh, 100%. He's in my top 100 right now. He's right around that 82nd range. Because, like, you look at it, you talked about it. This is a guy who's done it all. You go back to 2023, he played 200 snaps in the box, 300 snaps in the slot. 24, he did 600 snaps in the slot, 165 in the box. 25, he did 500 snaps in the slot, 150 in the box. He's played snaps on the defensive line during his time. This dude has done it all. And my biggest concern with him coming in was that he was listed at 6'1", 211. And, we always talk about it. We get to the combine every year, and the schools always fudge the numbers a little bit. They either, if you're 6'1", you measure it at 5'11". If you're 211 pounds, you measure it at 195. So I wanted to see that size. He comes in at 6'1", 210, about as close as you can get. Like I said, he's in my top 100. And if you're sitting there right there at the turn of end of day 2, start of day 3, and you need a nickel that can play some safety, I'm in.
MC's now referring to himself in the third person. He said Jeff's QB analysis is great, but second to MC's.
Well, I'm glad MC could join us for a second consecutive night, because I know we're on well after his bedtime.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate him showing up and showing out for us.
Yeah, I do appreciate him not drinking his warm milk yet.
His warm milk mixed with Metamucil. That's the key.
I've had a little bit of listen here, okay? So this is Aldi brand hard lemonade.
Oh.
So I am slurring my words a little bit. I'm sorry.
It's
Friday night.
You're fine. It's Friday night. It's an emergency pod. Listen, I've got to talk about this guy.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed his tape. And people called me crazy for it because they said, oh, he's stiff for a guy his size. 6'3", 194 pounds, 33-inch arms, almost an 81-inch wingspan. Tacario Davis from Washington, and everybody came in. He's like, hey, he's a big corner. This guy's not going to do anything. What about a 38-inch vertical and a 4'4", 140? Does that not entertain you? Like, you look at that, and, my comp for him, and it's cheap because, it's kind of that Seattle corner type of mold, but my comp for him has been Tariq Woolen for the longest time. And yeah, Tariq Woolen ran a 4.26, but a 1.49 10-yard split. Tacario Davis had a 1.59 10-yard split. It's right there.
He's a little faster, but isn't there some shades of that guy in Tacario Davis? Like a little bit to me, like the big physical style that he likes to play with. Like, I think he's probably got better wheels than MJ Emerson has, but because I don't remember what he ran. MC said it's Friday night, so it's actually Uncle Cletus's moonshine.
Yeah.
My grandpa, God rest his soul, when my goodness, I remember the moonshine he used to brew was, it would strip the paint off of your car.
Oh yeah. And Martin did a 4.53 and a 1.52. So Tacario Davis 1.59, 4.51. It's the same. It's roughly the same. Yeah.
That's I'm with you there. I'm glad you brought him up because he's a guy I've liked quite a bit too. If you're looking for that bigger style, the physical guys, it's just, was there someone else that stood out for? There was some random ass name that oh my goodness! Now I've lost one of the corners. Is there any? Do you have any more defensive backs that we need to discuss?
I think there's one, and it's one glaring omission that we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about, and it's D'Angelo Pons from Indiana. 5'8", 182 with 29-inch arms is normally a death sentence for a corner playing on the outside. But when you watch his play and you watch how physical he gets in run support, you watch how just gritty he keeps up with it, you always had a question like, hey, if he's going to be that small, can he be explosive? Well, how about a 43.5-inch vertical? Is that not explosive enough for you? Because it's explosive enough for me. Let me tell you what. If you look at the corner position, which I'm going to pull it up here right now as we speak live, and you look at the vertical for corners, so 40, what was it? It was 42, 43 and a half. So he would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth since 1999, the fifth highest vertical from corners, beating out such names as Darius Butler from UConn, aforementioned Tariq Woolen from UTSA, Drew Phillips from Kentucky, J.C. Horn, and Jalen Ramsey. That's explosive. I get it. The size is a problem. The arm length is a problem. He's probably he's probably a nickel in the NFL, but you know what? Nickels that move like that, I'm good.
I don't care. I don't care about his size. I don't. I don't. I'm so stupid because I almost forgot to talk about Dylan Thieneman. I was like, there's somebody. I was like, I know there's somebody that had a hell of a day today. And why am I? He's one of my favorite prospects. He was one of my favorite. Me and you talked about him coming out of summer scouting, back on the OBR. Dylan Thieneman, man, goes out there, runs a 4.35, a 41-inch vertical, and the broad was a 10.5. Is that?
Yep.
Yeah, 10.5. Sorry, I'm looking over at my notes. We got teased by as Chiefs content creator on Twitter today about looking off to our notes, and I'm like, dude, there was one time that you could read my notes in my glasses.
Right.
I'm just too old to remember this stuff. But dude, like you see it when you watch Thieneman's tape, like his range. What is really interesting to me was his freshman year, he was awesome at Purdue. And he played more as a deep safety, as a free, as a cover, single high. They did some cover 2 stuff too, but like as a deep free safety. And his range was amazing. And then they moved him more into the slot and in the box and in his second year. And I was like, he wasn't as good. And I was like, I don't know if I like that. And I'm like, but, you know, looking at Dan Lanning, he's going to know where to put him. And Dan Lanning kept him more as a strong safety. And he blossomed. And I'm like, okay, I'm that, you know, but he can do both. He can play all over the backfield. Like I said, as a freshman, he was phenomenal as a deep safety. He's great in the box, great in the slot, just incredible change of direction, straight line speed. He ends up with a 9.67 relative athletic score. Damn it.
Got him. Love it.
Son of a
Love
bitch.
it.
Dude, he's a little small, right? Like almost 6 foot flat. Almost 6 foot flat. And like what, 201 is what he measured.
201, yeah.
But my goodness, the Oregon safety, he's just like, he would be, am I crazy to say that there might be 3 safeties go in the first round?
Absolutely not, because I 2, absolutely. The third one, I still think will, even though he didn't have the greatest day today, but we knew that he wasn't going to be flashy. And I'm referencing Emmanuel McNeil-Warren from Toledo for folks that don't know. But I truly think that there is a possibility that we see 3 safeties in round 1.
Yeah, because like Thieneman and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren were guys that were kind of on the border. And now, like, I know McNeil-Warren, he's not a crazy athleticism is not his game. So we didn't expect to see that in Indy. But like he's being pushed up. And then Thieneman was like, yeah, I actually am, just to confirm for you, I am him.
Yes.
So I'm it is interesting. MC, you're right, is right, man. Like a lot of the Buckeyes really making some, and potentially the best one didn't test.
Yeah. And you know what's wild? And I've talked about this, and I said it last night. I'll say it again, and I'll continue to say it. There is a high possibility that Caleb Downs the one who did not test today, is the best one of the four, and is the fourth one taken
the
off
last
the
one
board.
taken, yeah.
Like we have to think about that, because like Arvel Reese, you could look at 2 or 3 to Arizona, or 2 to Jets, 3 to Arizona. Sonny Styles, wherever
Same
Reese doesn't
range.
go, same range. Carnell Tate to Tennessee at 4, maybe even the Giants at 5. Like there is a high possibility, and I thought about this today. After Fernando Mendoza, you could see Buckeyes in the back to back to back to back selections.
And you wouldn't feel like it was ridiculous, like,
No.
and just like so much, but plenty of other great players. Let's move to tight ends.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
I'm sorry, Kenyon Sadiq. Could you point me to the laboratory in which you were created? Because
Please.
my very unathletic ass would like some of that.
Yes.
Because 428, was that what they find? No, I'm sorry, 438.
439 was the official.
At how big?
At a whopping 6'3", 241.
And that is the Oregon tight end, Kenyon Sadiq, for those of you who don't know, who is an absolute freakazoid of nature. Although his vert wasn't even the best vert of the day.
No.
He had a freaking crazy one. But then Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt's like, let me jump. What it was at 43 and a half?
I thought it was 45 and a half. Sadiq was 43 and a half.
Ah, yes.
And we say 45 and a half like it's not that big deal. That's almost 4 feet in the air
from standing still. Like
yeah. Like and even though Stowers is a little bit lighter than Sadiq, it's not by much. Stowers is 239. We're talking 2 pounds lighter.
I saw somebody, was it in the Daft on Draft Discord. It was JP Acosta with CBS Sports. He was like, you put in some of the measurements from Sadiq and Stowers, and he goes, is that a typo?
Yeah, I put in the 45 and a half, and JP Acosta, which if you're not following Daft on Draft and Corey Kinnan or JP Acosta over at CBS Sports, I cannot recommend them enough. They are just absolutely great people. JP was like, are you sure that's not a typo? And I had to look again because
just to make sure.
Like, just to make sure. And then Daniel Jeremiah dropped it as 45 and a half. I said, okay, it's not a typo. We are like, you look at those testing numbers, and the last time we had a tight end like this for both Stowers and Sadiq, really, that tested like this, like you got to go back to like Vernon Davis in 2006, and he ended up going 6th overall. Like, do I think that Sadiq and Stowers go 6th overall? No, because the tight end positions changed a little bit. You know, the positional value is just not there. But like, if you told me someone somewhere, like for me, I currently have Sadiq. I'm going to pull it up. I currently have Sadiq as 36th on my board, and I have Stowers on my board currently at...
I don't see Sadiq getting out of the first round. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I have Sadiq at 35, and I have Stowers at 50. So 2 top 50 players, and I don't think that's high enough. I think there's a chance we're looking at 2 guys who could find their way into round 1, even though I think it's with positional value and obviously with their tape. Do they get into round 1? That's a question. But like, if somebody took them, yeah.
I'm pretty confident Sadiq will. I don't know that Stowers will, but like, I wouldn't like clutch my pearls and freak out if he did, just because a team, you know, some of those teams like to take chances on trades. Like, and you know, like with Sadiq, yeah, he's going to be pushed down because of some of the like motivation and some of the off the field like character concerns that people have. And MC, you can have a board.
You can build one.
I'll make you one. Just text
Right.
me. Send me a
The
message.
other thing too, this is what's really wild, and I always keep thinking about this. Eli Stowers is a converted quarterback. And I want to meet the person who said, "Hey, Eli, I don't think you're fit for the quarterback position, but I think you could be a really good tight end," because that man needs a job in
And
the
then he
NFL
needs to be my
tomorrow.
general manager.
Yeah. Because, like,
And
to
he-
say, "Hey, I think you're a better tight end." I also want to know if he did it after he did like a vertical test somewhere and he's just sitting
Probably.
there and he sees him jump 45 and he's like, "Yeah, no quarterback, tight end."
I was like, I'm not putting him on the bench. Where can I pencil him in somewhere else? Because he got beat out by Diego Pavia, and he ended up being Diego Pavia's number one weapon for multiple seasons, which is
Right.
still some of the wildest stuff that we have ever seen. But like
Insanity.
those two, man, they really did. They really put on a show, and it was really cool to watch because these guys, we can talk about ceilings all we want, but being able to get some sort of measuring stick to kind of try to build a better picture of how high a ceiling is,
Yeah.
that's what this part of the process is. That's why it's a small piece of the puzzle. Obviously, the tape is number one, and the tape is, for me, it's like 75%, 75 or 80%.
Yeah.
It's probably 80, at least 80%. And this is probably only 5 or 10%. But when you're talking about like, hey, I want to draft this guy because of what he could be, these are the things that you want to see with guys that you're taking a chance on the upside. And,
Right.
Stowers is a very, very intriguing day two guy to me. Like, very intriguing, especially if, like, for the Browns, there's a lot of talk of trading back from 6, right? And any other team that's in the top 5, because of some of these defensive players, maybe some of these playoff teams want to get aggressive, or these borderline playoff teams, like in the early to mid teens, late teens, want to get aggressive and come inside the top 10 for one of these guys. If you were to trade back and add like a pick in the 50s or 60s, like Stowers' ceiling is as high as it is, being as high as it is, it's like, that might be like a benefit that you get to have from trading back, is taking a swing on this guy that you probably wouldn't have done it at, like, if you're the Browns, you're like, I wouldn't use it at 39, but now I also have pick 59. Like, do you feel like that upside's enough? Because, like, I kind of do. You know what I mean? Like, it was more impressive than I expected it to be, which then makes you say, okay, well, why weren't we getting more out of him, in terms of on the field? Because we see this potential, and you got to figure that out. Especially if you come to the conclusion where it's just like, he just didn't get adequate, coaching, like we can coach him better, something like that. It's not because of an effort issue or something like that. Then you're like, oh, full throttle, brother. Full throttle.
Exactly. And like, for me, I'm glad you talked about it. Like, for me, 80% of these evaluations are the tape, because the tape is the tape is the tape. But the combine, for me, it's another 10% of the evaluation, but it also is a tiebreaker for me. Like, if I have two prospects, prospect A, prospect B, and their tape is both very similarly graded, why don't I take a chance on a guy who can run a 4.39 with a 43-inch vertical over a guy who might run like a 4.9? Because traits, at the end of the day, you have to be developed in the NFL, but you've got to have something that you hang your hat on to get there. Right.
Well, there's got to be something to develop.
Exactly. If you give me a ball of clay, the clay has to be moldable. If you give me a hard ball of clay, it's just going to stay a ball of clay. But, like, I mean, man, if you told me that the Browns traded back, got an extra second or an early third, and were interested in a Kenyon Sadiq or an Eli Stowers, you're going to get zero argument from me. I mean, man, even if they don't, like, if Stowers is there at 39, what's to stop them from taking him and putting him in the slot?
And my thing too is, like, especially in Cleveland's case, if they go out and get themselves a blocking tight end, because they still need a blocker. Because with Harold Fannin and Stowers together, because I see the comment that like Jeff's like, would the Browns add someone like Stowers to pair with Fannin? I think they would if they had an inline blocker. Because don't get me wrong, Stowers, he gives them hell. He gives them everything he's got. He just doesn't quite have the power profile or the technique or the size. Now, can he be developed? Can he get stronger? Can he put on a little bit of size without losing too much of that speed and athleticism? Yeah, I think he's got the frame for it. Like, I think he can add some stuff there. And you know, a year or two in a strength. I mean, listen, I love Harold Fannin. The power I saw in 2025 was significantly better than his Bowling Green tape. Like, I knew he was a powerful guy that could run through tackles. He took it to another level once he got in an NFL strength and conditioning program. How do I know he's not going to take the next step as a blocker? Like, that's also part of the equation, and that's up to that's stuff we won't know, but the Browns will know, especially because they'll have they'll start getting some of those off-season workouts as they're going up, and they'll be like, well, Fannin's put on X amount of weight or whatever. Maybe we feel more better about him in line, or maybe David Njoku isn't actually gone.
That's the other thing too. Like, could you imagine it with all of the 13 personnel that's being run by McVay and even Munkin? Could you imagine 13 personnel of Fannin and Njoku and Stowers?
Listen, brother, it is quite a feat if you can render me speechless. And yeah. Jeff says Fannin and Stowers in the red zone makes me tingly. How about you throw in Njoku in there too? Or a Njoku type, a guy that can be in line and also release. And I mean, there's
Charlie Kohler, former Raven, who's a free agent that you could probably get on a cheap 1 to 2 year deal. And now you have Fannin, Stowers, Kohler.
I'm telling you though, I said this last night on day one recap. I said, man, it seems like every year they're getting more athletic. Oh my God, if that didn't happen again today, I feel bad for the wide receivers tomorrow.
The wide receivers and the running backs. Like, how do you top this? The only way you top this is with 4 twos. Like, that's it. And I mean, we might get it with guys like Brennan Thompson. We might get it with Barry and Brown. They're speedsters that are going to fly tomorrow.
Oh, I'm super stoked. I'm going to get up, go to the gym, get my mind right, and then I'm just going to watch dudes run.
Yeah.
Pause.
I don't know if it's a pause.
Do you have any other tight ends you want to talk about?
So I have to mention one because we've talked about him quite frequently, and I'm going to continue to talk about him. Tanner Koziel from Houston, man. 6'6", 247, 33 6/8 arms, shows up, runs a 4.7 flat, which I know when we talk about Stowers and Sadiq, that's a little off the wall, but like also had a 36.5-inch vertical. And then you look at a guy like Sam Roush, too, from Stanford, who's also 267, a 38.5-inch vertical. These dudes were jumping out of the gym today.
Yeah. In Koziel and Roush, for that matter, but Koziel especially, like the thing that I love about him is he's a contested catch demon. He had like 27 contested catches in 24, and I think he had another 20 this year. Like a stupid, absurd amount. And so like, he's a really great tight end 3. Like if you wait till day 3, I think Koziel, Roush, those guys really stand out as like, hey, they might not be crazy athletes, but like their ability to high point the ball, go up and win in, you know, those contested catch situations in the red zones. That's what you need with tight end 3s. And I think we saw a couple of those guys show exactly that at that size to get that high up in the air. Like, so I think 6.5, right, on Koziel?
Yeah. It was for Koziel, it was 6'6", 6.5, and Roush was 6'6" flat.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, those are a couple of names for you if you're bargain bin shopping for like a tight end 3 type. I feel like Koziel, like for me, I'm like, I wish he was a better blocker because he's big and strong enough. But that's just one of those things where it's like maybe he just wasn't taught proper form, and you're like, maybe I can do that in the NFL.
Yeah. And that's it too. Like you said it, these dudes are contested catch demons. Like Sam Roush has a 40% contested catch rate. Tanner Koziel has a 74% contested catch rate. That means 3 out of every 4 balls, run it back. 3 out of 4 balls, double pause, run it back one more time. 3 out of 4 balls, he is coming down with it. Again, super pause for everybody watching at home. That's just you can't teach that, especially at 6'6.5".
Yeah, dude, I love what we're seeing. I'm very excited about it. I love this wide receiver class, and I'm really excited for a lot of the people that aren't like big draft dorks like us that have been obsessing over this class since summer. Get to see some of these guys that they haven't heard in the mainstream media run tomorrow. Because like Brendan Thompson, I'm so fascinated by. And the thing with him that gets me is like, he's 5'7", I think that's what he's like listed as.
He's like, listed 5'7", yeah.
And it's like special teams, go ball merchant. Yeah. Like you're just like, if you're fast enough, I can at least take a late day 3 flyer. And I'm very interested to see these wide receivers tomorrow.
Yep. And I'm also interested it's a forgotten, talked about, especially with the wide receivers and the running backs. I'm interested to see these quarterbacks, man. We already know that some of the guys, Ty Simpson, Drew Aller, they're going to be throwing. Garrett Nussmeier, Carson Beck, going to be throwing. But a guy that's been my draft crush from the jump, Taylon Green, the Arkansas quarterback at 6'6", 235, like that might be a dude who just tests out of the gym and then goes and throws it at a 70-yard bomb. And everybody's like, where has this dude been? Or you may go out here and you may see Drew Aller somehow magically recover from his ankle injury and the light bulb be turned on for him and goes out here and just starts throwing dots. Do I think it's going to happen? No. Would it shock me if it did? Also, no.
Probably
will I wish it to happen? No. But like this quarterback class, you talked about bargain bin shopping. That's what this quarterback class feels like. Like you have guys that are good at one thing or guys that are good one thing or another. And like if you need a camp arm, if you need a developmental guy, if you need some competition in your room, iron sharpens iron. That's what this class outside of Fernando Mendoza is going to bring you. So I'm excited to see it.
I'm really looking forward to Cole Payton, the North Dakota State quarterback. I really like. I heard him talk about it on the Daft on Draft podcast. They're like, I wish he had another year. Like he had another year of eligibility, so he could just get more experience. But I'm really excited because he's a kind of a bigger dude, but also like Taylon Green, he can move. They're probably the only 2 quarterbacks that'll run. If I had to guess, if I was both of them, I'd definitely run. Because I would love Cole Payton on my practice squad. Yeah. Like I would really like him on my practice squad as like hey, I'm going to take him late day 3 and just see what I can do with it. Like him and Taylon Green I think Taylon Green goes earlier because he played Arkansas as compared to North Dakota State. But I think both of those are the candidates for that. So we will not be live tomorrow to recap day 3. However, our regular Brown show on Sunday night at 8 p.m. In the back half of that episode, we will recap day 3 and 4 of the combine. Yes. So we'll do a little bit of strict Browns talk for the first like 25, 30 minutes or so. And then we'll run through the quarterbacks and the wide receivers and the tight ends, because a lot of that stuff is very, very relatable to the Browns anyway. So even though it won't be a draft edition of the Barking Browns podcast, it will be a relevant thing. And that is what we're doing here on the combine. So we appreciate you guys so much for tuning in with us. Yes. We've been throwing a bunch at you. We got a bunch more coming from you for this weekend and into next week. And we appreciate you all so very much. So hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. Yeah. And we will see you guys again on Sunday night, 8 p.m. here, same place.